Welcome back to Haunting Mystery. Today, I'm going to recap. In this film, we are told about two sisters whose father had married twice. Their stepmother's behavior wasn't good with them. The name of the elder sister was Sumi. She had Alzheimer's disease. She was with a doctor, and he asks her if she knows who she is, but the scene gets cut here, and we couldn't listen to Sumi's reply. Here the story takes turn. Both of the sisters and their father were coming home from somewhere. They loved each other. They were talking to each other and laughing. Hearing their laugh, their stepmother calls them inside. Sumi knew that she will definitely talk against them. She hated her stepmother a lot. Here we realize that Sumi loved her younger sister and took care of her. She couldn't bear if someone says anything to her sister. Taking her sister with her, she goes away. When she goes to her room, she finds everything on its place. Her room was organized. It was done by her stepmother, as Sumi disliked her, so she didn't want her to touch anything of her. She thought as if she does this to show our father. She feels angry and irritated that why doesn't she stay away from us? She thinks that she wants to take away our father from us. She immediately goes to her father's room and starts organizing his clothes, before stepmother comes and organizes it. When stepmother sees this, she says, angrily, "He isn't your father only, he is my husband as well." After some time, we are shown Sumi's father, who was talking to someone on call. He was saying, "Here condition is getting worse. Luckily you aren't here." He said Sumi isn't well, therefore I invited my brother and his wife, so that she feels good. Sumi's stepmother says that she invited them here. Here Sumi and her stepmother start having bad conversation. Sumi's father gets up and puts 2 tablets in front of his wife. At night, Sumi's younger sister has a bad dream. Her stepmother was scaring her in the dream. She goes to Sumi. Sumi lays her down with her and hugs her so that she doesn't feel scared. Both fell asleep, and this time, Sumi gets scared in her dream. She sees her real mother in her dream. She sees blood on her younger sister's body. This makes her awake. She sees soul of her real mother in front of her. Her head cuts and gets attached to her stepmother's neck. She wakes up in reality here. It means when she woke up at first, she was dreaming too. Here she feels unwell and goes down to bring something. Her stepmother says, "What a coincidence. I am also feeling unwell." Sumi finds a box there that belonged to her mother. It had their family picture. We acknowledge that their real mother died. Therefore, her soul came there. When she was ill, her father hired a nurse to look after her. She was none other than the woman who is their stepmother now. Seeing it, she becomes angry, but then her younger sister comes and asks her not to be angry. Her hand was injured, so Sumi asks her to tell her how she got this. Sumi thought that it is done by her stepmother. Then the night falls and Sumi's aunt and uncle come to dinner. Both of the sisters weren't there, and their father and stepmother were sitting with the guests. Sumi's mother starts cracking weird jokes with Sumi's aunt. She starts feeling strange. Something starts happening to her, and her condition worsens. Then they go away. On the way, she tells her husband that someone has possessed that house. I witnessed a girl's soul there. In home, Sumi's stepmother also started feeling weird. She finds a pin at the place where that lady witnessed the soul. As she moves her hand to pick that pin, someone holds her hand. She screams and gets afraid. Then we see a girl behind who had worn a green dress. She tells this to her husband, but he ignores. Then he goes to her daughter Sumi and asks, "Can you please tell me what's going on in this house?" But Sumi doesn't tell him anything. She doesn't consider her father good. One day, she was playing with her younger sister and teaching her how to whistle. She was also teaching her how to pray or kill birds. The next day, we find many birds dead there. Seeing this, their stepmother gets aggressive and closes her younger sister in the closet. Sumi makes her come out of the closet and hugs her. Then their father comes and asks, "What happened now?" Sumi starts screaming loudly and says, "Are you unable to see how stepmother oppresses us?" Here we acknowledge a surprising fact. Her father says, "Your younger sister had died a long time ago," as he says this. That girl, Sumi's sister, starts stepping back. This was only her imagination. She felt sad after her sister's death. Therefore, she had become a mental patient. Therefore, at the beginning of the movie, she is shown in mental hospital. Sumi couldn't understand anything and she sleeps. The next day, when she wakes up, she sees that her stepmother beating someone by putting her in a sack. Sumi thinks that she's beating her younger sister. But this was also her imagination. Then she approaches her stepmother, and another argument ensues between them. Sumi's stepmother was about to kill her by falling a statue on her, but then Sumi's father comes there and stops her from doing this. He makes her sit on the sofa, and here we see her stepmother in place of Sumi. He was calling her Sumi. His father says, "I've talked in a hospital. You'll have to go with me." From the other side, a lady resembling to her stepmother was coming. When angle of camera changes, we see Sumi sitting on the sofa. He was talking to Sumi. Here we see that when these people came to this house, they were only two people. One, Sumi, and another one, her father. Her mother died a long time ago, and her sister also died. She couldn't accept this reality. In the reality, there was not any stepmother. She was playing the character of her own stepmother. This was her imagination only. Here we get to know that why her husband didn't answer her, because she was a fictional character. He put medicine in front of her stepmother because she was Sumi, in fact. Everything that was happening in the house was just Sumi's imagination. This was happening due to her mental disorder. Then Sumi is sent to the mental hospital. That nurse, whom Sumi called her stepmother, goes to her house. Here, the story takes a twist, and it is very difficult to understand it in the hospital. Sumi hears someone whistling. That nurse hears the same voice. Sumi gets astonished that my sister didn't know how to whistle. Maybe she learned how to do it after becoming a soul. Then we see that the soul of her younger sister kills that nurse. Sumi shed a tear of happiness because she hated that nurse, both in her imagination and reality. It was a creation of her mind. She becomes happy here and calmly breathes deep. At the end of the movie, the real story is revealed. When Sumi's father hired that nurse to look after his wife, he started liking her. Sumi's aunt and uncle were also happy with this, as his first wife stayed ill. But Sumi and her sister weren't happy with this due to this. Sumi's mother attempts suicide by hanging herself. When Sumi's sister sees her mother hanged in the closet, she tries to save her. During this effort, that closet falls on her, due to which she dies with suffocation. Hearing this noise, that nurse also goes up. Sumi follows her and says she's the reason everything happened. She starts calling her bad and responsible for her mother's and sister's death. That nurse says, "I didn't have any intention to do this. Still, if you want to think like this, remember, you'll feel regret your whole life." Sumi couldn't bear this at once and becomes mental. Here movie's plot is revealed, and this is where the movie finally comes to the end. If you like my movie explanation, don't forget to like and share and subscribe to the Haunting Mystery channel to get more interesting movie explanations.